Folks, what is going on? We are live here at Atlas Stationers in Chicago. My name is Brendan. We are joined today with a very special guest. We've been going live every few days. We've recently broke 100,000 followers, which we can't thank y'all enough for. And the TikTok page has just been booming. So we have takeover events set up from now through the end of the year, in which we invite representatives from manufacturers and distributors out to our store to take over the shop for a day. This means they fly out here from various locations and they set up all of their products that they carry and take over our store. It's as easy as that. Today, we have a legend here in the game, Mr. David Oscarson, who has brought an amazing collection here with us. David, how the heck are you? And can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, everybody. Live from Chicago. Great to be here with you. David Oscarson. And if you don't know who we are, this is an opportunity for me to explain a little bit what we've been doing for the last 2.5 decades. All of our writing instruments are created the same way. And so before we get into specific themes, I want to talk a little bit about how these are constructed. Every single piece in the collection is, of course, solid sterling silver. Start with a rod of solid sterling silver. We bore it out so there's uniform thickness around the edges. And then we use a technique called guilloche or guilloche. You may know this from some watch dials. It is a diamond cut engraving. And this is important because if we were to stamp a pattern or to cast a pattern with melted silver, it would tend to pilfer out towards the sides and not refract the light that you see on a guilloche piece. So it's all diamond cut engraving in different styles, and we'll talk about some of those. Here's the key. Every color that you see here, we've got over 100 pieces here. Every color that you see is what we call a hot enamel, and I want to explain what that is. That means that it is a crushed glass where we add metal oxides and then we take a quill and we put it's like a paste on the side of the pen, and we hang it on a wire and put it into a kiln where it's fired up to 1,000 degrees and the glass melts and fuses with the silver. Okay, so this is not epoxy or resin. This is a real enamel, a hot enamel. It's actually melted glass. Several different layers and several different colors. There are temperature tolerances to consider, like this red. If it goes over 800 or so degrees, the copper that we use to color it red will burn and turn brown, which no one wants. But the blues, if we don't take them over 1,000 degrees, they're milky and cloudy. Over 1,000 degrees, whoosh, they go translucent. So we have to go in sequence. So a piece like this with 4 or 5 colors can be in the kiln, multiple firings per color, multiple colors, up to 20 times in the kiln.
It's crazy.
And what happens occasionally, quite often, is the silver will cool faster than the glass. It will shatter and break our hearts, and we have to start all over. Why do we do this? It's a natural substance. Glass and silver and gold vermeil, they're going to last for hundreds of years. This is not going to fade under light or peel off. It's not a resin or a plastic or a glue or an epoxy. This is, in essence, silver and glass and gold. That's the best way to describe what we do. All British hallmark. Our workshop is in London, and each piece has a British hallmark along with a serial number on the side. We can talk about a few different designs now that I've got you. For instance, this piece right here. And this is a tribute to Sir Alexander Fleming. And those of you acquainted with medicine will remember that he, quite by accident, discovered penicillin. So we have here on the cap an exact facsimile of the petri dish on which he discovered the penicillin. The clip is something called an inoculating loop. This is a twisted wire with a circle at the bottom that gets dipped in bacteria and put into the quadrants of a petri dish for experiments. Alexander Fleming's signature, of course, for the prescription is on the barrel, and then on the gripping section is the chemical compound formula for penicillin. Perfect piece for someone interested in medicine or just likes history, or somebody in the medical field. Comes in different colors, of course. This black piece is the color of the petri dish today. It's kind of a greenish, mossy black. really pretty, but you get the translucency on the silver one. Here's another piece that you might recognize if you know anything about us at all. About 15 years ago or more. This is called the Celestial, and this, of course, sun, moon, and stars. Brendan, if you come in closely here, in between the tendrils of the sun, you'll see that we've done something very interesting. In between each tendril, where the sunburst pattern is, we have omitted one of the lines of the guilloche engraving to emulate the heat waves coming off the sun. These are little nuances that you don't always notice. Underneath that midnight blue enamel, you will see that some of the stars are underneath the enamel. Some stars shine more brightly than others. You've got one of the sun rays for the clip. This is a beautiful night and day, light and darkness motif that we're recognized for all around the world. It is almost sold out, which brings me to my next point. If you're familiar with the Pen magazine, Pen World magazine comes out every other month, and we are on the front cover with this new collection called Deus Regent, which means in Latin, God rules. And I want to show this to you because it's brand spanking new. The magazine comes out this weekend. All of the colors of enamel that we told you need to be fired at different temperatures, they have a line of silver separating each color of enamel. Now, we have in recent 2-3 years been able to start blending some of these. It started with our tribute to Nikola Tesla. That is purple enamel and lavender enamel, which really gives it a nice electric glow. You see the rotating magnetic field here at the bottom, his signature, the Tesla coil underneath. This is the international symbol for alternating current, for which he was so famous over Edison's direct current, the Wardenclyffe Tower, a Tesla unit of measure, and 2 blueprints for his electromagnetic motors on the gripping section. We started blending the enamels and realized that we could do that on something like this Deus Regent cap, which is actually this really pale blue, sky blue, also white, also gray, and also yellow. So each one, folks, will be a little bit different because of the amount of yellow or gray or blue or white that's on there, but it's a nice transition from color to color without the outline of silver. Now here's something interesting. When we're cutting the sunburst pattern on this cap, you see the outlines of the clouds and the sunbursts. Those are all in sterling silver also, but we have not soldered those to the surface. It's not a cloisonné. Every time we reach one of those pieces of metal, we lift our diamond up, move it over, drop it down, and keep cutting. So it's like a reverse engine turning, reverse guilloche process. That gives us a 90 degree angle where that glass can butt up right against the silver, and you get one smooth finish. You don't see any wobbly lines of the soldering of the metal going down. That's all diamond cut at
It's
a
sharp.
90 degree angle.
It's definitely, it's very exact.
So on this particular piece, yes, in the hilt of God's scepter, there's a diamond. He's all-knowing, of course. At the top, you have the lack of the absence of all darkness. It's all light where God dwells. On the bottom, where the snake is, of course, at the bottom where outer darkness would be, is an opaque black that represents the absence of all light. The flames which are ascending up here underneath the enamel, if you invert that, you'll notice that they form some triangulation which emulates the head of a goat, which, like many things in life, beautiful at the outset, and you get closer and you realize, oh, I don't want to go there, that's something dangerous. So this is all intentional. On the gripping section, 50% of the gripping section is a sunburst, and the other 50% is bars. When we die, we go to a spirit paradise or prison where we await a resurrection, and that is representative on the gripping section of the cap. So this is really meant to be a follow-up, more overtly stated than the Celestial, because the Celestial is almost sold out completely in all 5 colors.
So are we done with the production of the Celestials then?
We had the blue, the white are gone. We have a few more pieces in the red, in the saffron, and in the yellow. Those will be obsolete by holiday for sure. That's one of our most iconic pieces because it's so rememberable with that blazing sun. on the front. And here you have the inverse, which is beautiful on the saffron with the orange.
It's one of the first pen models that I saw from your collection that
It's
I
so
got to know you from.
memorable. Sure. And so we have, I showed you the Nikola Tesla, and so
This is one of my favorites.
in
David already
silver
knows.
colors, we have this mossy black and gray blended there to give that a glow. That's over the Tesla coil. Just beautiful. Same thing here in the red. The red is actually orange and red to give it that natural glow. And these are going to last for hundreds of years, guys. This is glass and silver, all natural materials that just need to be polished. Because of the Tesla, our fossil fuel guys said, well, what about us? And so we introduced in the spring something called Take It to the Limit. And this is not carbon fiber, folks. That is a guilloche diamond cut engraving with melted glass, hot enamel over, that emulates carbon fiber. It's really perfect. You've got speed, tachometer, oil, gas, an elongated piston for the clip. You have your gears here on the top, the gearbox, and on the gripping section. If everything seems under control, you're just not going fast enough. So it comes in several different color variations. There's British Racing Green, very smart. There's a light blue here, very retro. This cherry red, of course, with the black trim. That is our fossil fuel answer to the Nikola Tesla, kind of a companion piece, much like we did when we introduced our koi collection several years ago. And this piece, show them here, Brendan, this really shows off our craft with all of the different nuances. Every time our diamond comes up to one of these little bubbles in high relief, we have to stop the diamond, lift it up, move it over, drop it down, and keep on cutting. The koi collection came in a few different colors, all the scales on the koi fish there. We have a companion piece to the koi, of course, like the Tesla and Take It to the Limit. The sea turtle is a companion piece, a saltwater companion to the freshwater koi collection. Again, mint, green, and teal enamels all in each section of every part of the tortoise shell there. You have a coral clip, and then the bamboo clip on the koi fish, of course, in Japanese on the top, and turtle on the top of the sea turtle, and sea on the bottom. On both pieces, our name here is written in Japanese characters.
We got a quick question here. So folks, these are all $6,400 for the fountain pens. Rollerballs are $6,200, correct? Ballpoints are $29. Perfect. And then somebody has been asking this, how long does it take for you to design, to come up with the design, and then actually manufacture and produce the pen? I know you basically do one release a year, right?
The designs take quite a bit, yeah. We have 2 or 3 that we think about. Well, is it time for that one yet? Well, should we do the sea turtle right after the koi? Do we do the, in what order and what body shape? I mean, we have some straight line pieces here, like this Alfred Nobel, okay? Discovered dynamite, 63 pieces, one for each year that he lived. Of course, his legacy, Peace Prize here, with the chief among the prizes, with the doves here, the 3 Swedish crowns and the blasting caps. Something like that, typically we would start thinking about it. It takes a good year from concept to prototype. And with our 4 guys in the workshop, we can produce, it just depends, you know, a few pieces in a week, something like we're not a mass-produced house, so we can't just put these on rondels and spray them.
And these pieces are very limited. So on initial batches, you do 88, I think, right, for certain colors?
Well, for certain pieces like the Deus Regent will be 88. Alfred Nobel, we numbered 63.
Sure.
For the Romanov collection, from 1613 to 1917, 304 pieces.
Sure.
For the Romanov dynasty.
Sure.
And this is really a Russian motif with that sunburst in there and the double leaf wire overlay. Really, really beautifully done. It is definitely a more substantial piece.
Sure.
Like the dragons and the snakes here, Blackwater Dragon I can show you here. This piece has no clip because I thought it would get in the way of the design. But there is a freshwater pearl in the mouth of the dragon, and all of this translucent red enamel here with the ancient symbol for water underneath, clouds here. There's a black version as well. We'll make different color variations of a design. So on the Black Water Dragon, we did black, of course, translucent mossy black, and a ruby red.
Sure.
Beautiful together.
And then for some maybe exclusive colors, you will run a batch of just 8 pieces. 1 of 8, 2 of 8.
That, friends, is what we have many of here today. All of these Pierrot and Pierrette pieces here, one row up, are editions of 8.
Gotcha.
On the Carl Linnaeus, these are editions of 7 pieces only. The Harvest piece, this is an edition of 8. Harlequin here, 8 pieces. These are all pieces that you won't find on the website. Special color combinations, the quatre couleurs, the history of card suits here with the heart, the spade, the diamond, and the club from the French caste system. Antoni Gaudi, right here. We did some special colors of that as well. Here's an Alexander Fleming in a beautiful violet, 8 pieces. So yes, we will do several color variations in small runs that you won't see on the literature or on the website. Here's another one, a tribute to Ellis Island. You see Lady Liberty underneath the hot enamel on the cap there.
That's crazy.
Okay, you've got a melting pot here, a monochromatic American flag, E pluribus unum, out of many, one. You have, now there were 62 years where Ellis Island was in operation, but we lost half of the records, and we only have about half. So to choose which countries to represent, of course, Sweden was going to be on there for me, but we took the countries for which we have the most records of immigrants. And those are the countries, mostly Western European, here on the pen. Lady Liberty's torch. Underneath you have an aerial map of Ellis Island, which is right next to the Statue of Liberty. Seal of Good Health on the top, and on the bottom of the barrel, temporarily detained U.S. immigration station. This was released during COVID, which is very interesting. You could not come into the country. You'd have to wait there in quarantine until you were healthy enough to enter. On the gripping section, give me you're tired, you're poor, you're hungry, you're huddled masses. Beautiful piece to celebrate the melting pot of the United States of America there.
That's so funny about the timing of the release.
well, funny and not funny, right. We have here also, this is the Golden Spike. Okay, we did a tribute to Lewis and Clark, which I don't have here, which is all about the Louisiana Purchase and their journey from St. Louis to the Pacific Ocean and back. That was by river. And then came the 150th anniversary of the driving of the Golden Spike. For those of you who know about the Transcontinental Railroad, started with Union Pacific in Omaha and also Central Pacific out of Sacramento and met in Promontory, Utah. So you got the map here with a different geoshape pattern for each state and the insignias for both Central Pacific and Union Pacific. And on the gripping section, may God continue to bless our country as this railroad unites the 2 great oceans of the world, which it did. So each one has a different theme and a story we could talk about. Magna Carta here, that for our law people out there, you'll recognize Article 39 in Latin here, which kind of reads, no free man shall be seized or taken without due process, a fair trial and a jury of his peers, which became, of course, UK law and subsequently our Bill of Rights. So you've got Old Glory here, and Article 39 in Latin in high relief. King John on his throne. Each one tells a different story and has a different theme, like the Rosetta Stone here, that you can read about on the website, or you can call Brendan, he'll tell you all about it. But the construction, guys, is all the same. This gold that you see on some of the pieces, we call gold vermeil, V-E-R-M-E-I-L. That just means that it is gold finishing over solid sterling silver. If it were gold over brass, it would be called gold plating. But when it's vermeil, you know that it's a solid sterling base. This is the Rosetta Stone, all about Ptolemy V and ever-living, beloved of Ptah. He was the one who cut people's taxes in half, became a living deity, and that's who the stone was written about. And so Champollion in 1822 was able to crack the code of thousands of years of hieroglyphs, and we now have the genealogy and the history. You've got the winged disc of Horus here, and Ptolemy V's coin, head and tails on the top and bottom. So a little something to relate to, and also a little piece of history to share and tell people. What is that? Oh, this is the Rosetta Stone. Well, what's that? Oh, well, let me tell you what that
Story
is.
time.
Right? Story time. And so here's Lord Ganesha.
Yeah, this is one of my personal favorites, you guys.
This is a beautiful tribute to Lord Ganesha, the remover of obstacles. And Brenda, if you can get in on that paisley engraving underneath, is just a real feat. Of course, Ganesha's head there at the clip, and Lord Ganesha's head on the cap, and about 3 of everything, 3 ohms, 3 tridents, 108 pieces worldwide.
That green is
colors. The
amazing.
Green is really translucent. Just a beautiful piece. There's a prayer to Lord Ganesha in the Sanskrit on the gripping section, and a really beautiful tribute there. Different shape, different body shape. So you got it cut off here at the top.
Unique clip too.
Taper. We have Jacques de Molay here, the last Grand Master of the Knights Templar. This is a cool one. This is Friday the 13th of October, 1307. King of France and Pope Clement decided they could never repay the debts. The Templars were the bankers, and so they arrested them. And de Molay was actually executed, burned alive on an open fire, shouted out to the king and the Pope, "You'll both be taken care of by the end of the year," and sure enough, they both were. The Templars evolved into the Masons and came to the New World, and so you have a lot of Masonic imagery here, the tessellate floor from the Masonic temple. This is the apprentice's pillar that you read about in the Da Vinci Code, where the master was away and the apprentice built a beautiful pillar, all-seeing eye underneath. Templar sword, of course, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, where the treasure was found, 2 knights on horseback on the bottom, and then the branch of acacia on the gripping section. This is the first Friday the 13th, 1307 October. So each one's got its own piece of history to tell. Sancho Lucia, Raoul Wallenberg, beautiful tribute there. Consider the lilies. Give Brendan a call, or take a look on the website, read some of these, like Carl Linnaeus. That's another beautiful one, the father of botany, right? Binomial nomenclature. And we have inlaid the enamel and guilloche right into the barrel here, and his signature when he was knighted by the King of Sweden, Carl von Linné. He was born before his time, nicknamed himself Temporis Fila, child of time, and also a poet, an author, and an artist. So each one will speak to different people in different ways, but the construction on all of these guys is the same. Just beautiful, meant to last for generations, centuries, solid sterling silver, guilloche engraving, and all kiln-fired hot enamel. We'll try to keep some nice things coming to you and try not to let you down in the future.
You haven't yet. So, okay, everyone, I know you're asking some questions. I think now would be a good time to have a little Q&A. So, David, the crowd really wants to know which one, and I know this is a hard decision, which one is your favorite? Model and or color?
That has varied over the years. I had a white-capped Celestial with a saffron sun, probably 3.5 years in my pocket. And then after that, probably consider the lilies, which I love the piece. It just reminds me of my daughters. Everything that's good and virtuous, and I really loved that piece. I have rotated several in and out, and I have to tell you, this new Deus Regent.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's got me. So
oh yeah, see, he's got one on him right now.
That's what's in my pocket today. I guess that answers the question, what do I have today? It's a little warm. It's been in my pocket all day. I just love the message that this sends of not just good and evil, but good over evil, and right over wrong, and light over darkness. I really love that about this piece. You know, you've got the adversary there, has power, but not enough power to overpower the good and the right and the light. And so I think this is my favorite. That's a great question, Francine. Thank you. As brand new, this is just coming out just now.
Yeah, just arriving. What made you get into pens?
Oh, well, I kind of fell into it. I had a jewelry background and a retail background, and spent some time in a buying office in St. Louis with May Company, and then I had spent a few years with a pen company, and I thought, 3 very dangerous words, you know, I'm a genius.
Nice.
It kind of happened to me. It's right before 9/11, and things were really tough, but kind of combined a jewelry background with a pen experience, and launched a collection, and then shortly after that we had sort of a following, and so it's kind of happened to me. And the great thing is, a lot of these people, this is a celebratory business we're in, and they've become really dear friends the last 2.5 decades. I've just really gotten to know some great people out there, and these are happy occasions. These are rewarding occasions, and it's been great to make those friendships and these common themes that will sometimes really bond people together. That's been a really fun part too. So yeah, it just kind of happened to me, kind of eased my way into it. I thought I'll just combine all this together, and suddenly now it's been decade after decade, and we've really come a long way with the blending of enamels and all these other processes that have been really fun. And a lot of these people are lifelong friends.
That's what I've noticed too. People in the fine writing community, they all make an effort to meet others and really get involved in the community overall. So that's awesome. Okay, can you just again briefly review the process it takes? So do you design all of these? I know you have a small team in England that produces them.
They execute the designs, and all of these guys, for better or for worse, I am the complaint department as well.
Nice.
It starts with a pencil, starts with a concept and an idea, and I'll usually think, okay, well, what components, what's the message we want to send? And then it's a question of placement, and then it's a question also of high relief versus low relief. I mean, how do we portray flames? Sancta Lucia, December 13th, she was martyred 304 AD for helping the Christians, and she's the patron saint of light. National holiday in Sweden every year, December 13th. She's the girl with the candles in her hair, the white gown and the red sash, kind of the counterpart to Jacques de Molay. Actually, they suffered the same fate. And so I start with a pencil, and I'll think, well, what do we want to say? What do we want to portray? I was asked if I would do a tribute to the state of Texas, and I thought, well, there's no way you can put barbed wire and cattle in NASA, and what else? Everything. There's no way you.
Texas
can do that.
is a big place.
So we have to kind of pare it down and realize what do we want to say and what will look beautiful. We lucked out on the Fleming because that Petri dish was really cool with that circle on there. Sometimes not so much, and we have to think about how do we portray things. What do we want to have in high relief? That's the metal that you see. What do we want to have, like these angels with the trumps? They're not in metal. They're in low relief. They're cut underneath the enamel. So we have to think in 3D as well. What do we want to put in the foreground? What's in the background? Seaside collection here. You get the outlines of those scallops that are in high relief silver. Then you have a waved background, but underneath the enamel are sand dollars that are floating above the waves, but they're still underneath the enamel. So you have to think, in what order do we want to do things? And so that's really kind of a challenge. And I keep most of the drawings, like the early drawings is kind of funny. I look at them and I think, oh yeah, I'm glad we didn't do it that way. Or sometimes I think, oh, well, that would be really cool in like an orange color, a different color. And we can go back and revisit some of the older designs. That's a great question. So yes, I do all the designs.
Sure. So piggybacking off that, and this will be the last question for the video, were there ever any ideas or stories that you wanted to express in the pen, but the design maybe didn't translate into the fine writing instrument, or maybe you didn't have the ability to do it?
Got about 35 of those on my desk.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Woulda, shoulda, coulda. And we may still do them in the future. I mean, and we may still do that. We had a crystal piece, crystal collection, 2003, I think. It's gone. The crystal is obsolete. It's hand-blown full lead English crystal. Gorgeous. Crystal factory's closed. But that piece is the reason that we can fill these pens with a cartridge, a piston converter, and an eyedropper. We didn't want to see the cartridge or the converter in there, and so we had that full lead crystal. You can see it on the website. That's actually all the way translucent. You can look straight through that and see the ink
interesting.
with an eyedropper. So yeah, there's some, and I've got a few that I keep hawing about. How could we do that? How could we do that? And sometimes it'll evolve. There were several roads that led to the Deus Regent, for instance. It wasn't just one. This was a combination of probably 2 or 3 concepts over the last 7-8 years that I finally thought it's time to just do this way about the light over darkness. That's
Sure.
Isaiah, woe be to them that choose darkness over light and evil over good. That's what this is about. And so that's timely for me too. It depends on timing. Ellis Island was perfect for COVID. That was quarantine time. So those are good questions, and hopefully will not disappoint you guys going forward with our next releases. This is the one that's brand new though. Watch for this on the cover of Pen World coming out this week.
And we're looking to bring one of those into the shop, folks.
Yeah.
Obviously, we do our best to stock what we can, but the pieces move very quickly. A lot of them are very limited, very sought after. So everyone, thank you for tuning in. David, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, everybody. Hope to meet you at some point.
Awesome. Folks, that's going to conclude today's video. Be on the lookout for our other live videos. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Please follow our Instagram. That's the best way to communicate with us. You can DM. It's just at Atlas Stationers. You'll see a bunch of photos of all these items. And again, you can comment. We can talk via private message. So that'll do it, folks. Stay smooth. Take care of yourself. Peace.